Beautiful people of Trinidad and Tobago, good evening. Political leader, Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Lady Vice Chairman, the Honorable Camille Robinson-Regis, Minister of Social Development and Family Services, my fellow candidates, Red Brigade women, men of the Red Brigade. Permit me, gentlemen in the audience, but I just want to have a conversation with my sisters this evening. You see, ladies, sisters, women of Trinidad and Tobago, we have the power of influence. We cradle the future of the nation in our hands. And as adults, we provide comfort for men. So we have the power of influence. And I want to urge all of us, women of Trinidad and Tobago, I want to urge my sisters to use our power of influence for good. You see, as I walk the constituency of Tobago East, as I engage the people of Tobago, as I engage women, I have found that too many of our women, too many of our sisters are still undecided. Too many of our sisters are asking, why give the PNM another chance? Too many of our sisters are saying, why give the 14 women of the People's National Movement an opportunity to serve? So when I say I want you to use your power of influence for good, I mean it, because we have a message and a story to tell. You see, my sisters of Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement built this nation. My sisters of Trinidad and Tobago, it is PNM policy that would have allowed many of our women and our girls to move from nursery to tertiary. It is PNM policy that would have safeguarded and nurtured us from cradle and into the grave. You see, this PNM policy that would have shaped each and every one of us to become powerful, influential movers and shakers of our society. So, sisters, when I ask you to use your power of influence for good, I could say it from a good place, because like you, like many of you, I would have endured the uncertainty and hope of a pregnancy. I would have endured the pain and the pleasure of giving birth 3 times. And like many of you, my fellow sisters, I now have the awesome task of raising 2 girls and a son in this beautiful country called Trinidad and Tobago. And when I examine what is presented, when I examine the options, when I look at what is before me as a mother with 3 young children depending on me to shape the course of their life and the future of the nation, when I examine the options, I see no other choice but the People's National Movement. Sisters of Trinidad and Tobago, let us use our power of influence for good. Let us become like Deborah in the Bible and rally our troops for battle, because we're not only fighting for our children today, we are fighting to safeguard the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Sisters of Trinidad and Tobago, I have had the pleasure and the privilege to serve as the junior minister in the office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for gender and child affairs. And I've been asked on many occasions, where does the passion come from and the drive? And I just have to look to my leader, a father figure, a leader, a motivator, an inspiration, a PNM man who understands that PNM women of Trinidad and Tobago have a voice, and the voice must be heard. A leader who at every juncture would have pushed and motivated me to do more with less for all of us women of Trinidad and Tobago. So even though economic circumstances might have been tough, The PNM man and the PNM policy and the PNM vision ensure that we would have established for our ladies in Trinidad and Tobago who are victims of domestic violence, the first state-run domestic violence shelter, not only taking in women, but the women with the children. That is PNM vision and PNM policy. So ladies and sisters, when I ask you to use your power of influence for good, you have to use your power of influence for good and help those around you to make the right choice. Because it is this PNM administration, this team PNM, this PNM that would have remained stable and strong going on 65 years, that would have ensured that we provide the resources to the Children's Authority, so those little boys and little girls in our communities who couldn't stay in the loving homes of families because of violence, that we put in place the institutions to protect them, your sons and your daughters, your nieces, your nephews, your grandchildren. It is PNM policy and PNM vision that would have grown the Children's Authority to expand it to the reaches of Sangre Grande, Chaguanas, and even in Tobago. So my sisters, when I say we have to use our power of influence for good, we must use it to champion the cause of Team PNM. You see, as a little girl growing up in Roxborough, I saw when my beautiful village, once the second town of Tobago, would have entered into a state of decline and decay. And I am proud to be a PNM woman, a sister, a Tobagonian sister, a Trimbagonian sister, serving alongside a team of hard-working cabinet ministers and a political leader and prime minister who understood that for all of Trinidad and Tobago to advance and grow, that no community, no constituency must be left behind. And I stand testimony to the fact that investment was made, not only in Tobago East, but in every single constituency in Trinidad and Tobago. So my sisters, when I ask you to use your power of influence for good, it's because it is required. Too many of our sisters are still undecided. Too many of our sisters are wondering if PNM is the right choice. But you, my Red Brigade sisters, you have to carry the message that we are indeed the right choice. Because it is a PNM policy and PNM vision that would have ensured that every single sister in Trinidad and Tobago had the opportunity to work and earn equal pay just as the men in Trinidad and Tobago. It is the same PNM policy and PNM vision that would have ensured that even as we work, when we go off to give birth to future generations, that our jobs are protected and we are financially secure. It is PNM policy and PNM vision that would have ensured that in almost every single community in Trinidad and Tobago, our young people have access to recreational spaces. In Tobago, we can boast that almost every single village, you could find a community center. And not only find a community center where training and development opportunities are available. We could boast of the fact that almost every single constituency has easy and ready access to health care. So my sisters, we have to use our power of influence for good. And in these 11 days leading up to the day of decision, we have to convert the unconverted. We have to inform the uninformed. We have to ensure that we influence those who need influenced to make the right choice. The PNM is the right choice. I can stand and say the PNM is the right choice because the People's National Movement, our leaders are leaders who stand on performance, on delivery, and integrity. And when we have to make tough decisions, we man up and woman up, and we make tough decisions. So when we had to restructure Petrotrin for the good of all of us, we did that. When we had to close St. Michael's School for Boys, when we recognized the institution wasn't doing what it was supposed to do for our sons, we closed it. And when we recognized the need to invest more in our community residences and provide extra funding, we did it. because we built this nation. So my sisters of Trinidad and Tobago, I urge you all to remember to use your power of influence for good. I warned you all in 2015 that we were making a decision that would chart the course of our future and of our destiny. And as I traveled to Trinidad this evening, and I encountered some turbulence, and I was jolted awake by the cries of a young girl who was in front of me, I was reminded of the turbulent period we would have encountered between 2010 and 2015. And I felt comforted by the fact that just as my political leader and Prime Minister was able to weather those challenging times and bring us into a brighter future, I knew that Caribbean airline pilot was going to land me safely in Trinidad. So my PNM sisters, I want to encourage us all to use the power of influence and use it for good. So I encourage you on August 10th, when you get up, you go out, you collect everyone around you who is of voting age, and you take them to the voting booth with you. And I urge you to encourage them to make a decision that would impact on the lives of not only our children today, but for children tomorrow and for children into future generations. And I encourage each and every one of us sisters to put an X by the ballot. Let us stamp our X against the symbol that signifies strength, stability, and the right choice. And come the night of August 10th, we will all say together, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall always prevail. I thank you.
Vote for the love of we country. We go vote to protect the treasury. Vote is only